Are you dealing with weak ankles that hold you back or are a constant problem? Well, in this video, we're going to go over 3 ankle strengthening exercises that every athlete needs to build stability, improve athletic performance, and get you to performing at your best. All right, let's get into it. Hey guys, it's Neil Toussaint with TrickStrong.com, and it is our goal to help you guys perform without limitations. So these exercises have helped me as a movement artist and my clients as well as a doctor of physical therapy to really get past those nagging aches and pains, get past the wobbles and the constant rolls that we get with our ankles, with all the movement that we do, and get us back into stable, powerful movement that helps support our goals in movement and in life. So let's get into these game-changing exercises right now. Exercise number 1 will be a single leg calf raise eccentric. So we're gonna need a slant board or a step. You don't necessarily need a slant board, you could use a deficit, but that stretch position is gonna be extremely important for building the calf, building the tendon as well. So our Achilles is pretty important as athletes, right? So we wanna be able to load that tendon, get the most out of our training from a muscular standpoint as well by getting that stretch position at the bottom of the rep. So I like to use a slant board, and I have these 2 sticks here or dowels to help me with balance. Because if you're trying to train strength, you don't want to also be training balance at the same time. What I mean by that is if you're training with stability, if stability is your goal or balance is your goal, that's fine, but that should be the main focus of that exercise. For this, it is muscle building, it is hypertrophy, it is strength in the calf and Achilles. So we want to be nice and stable, but that doesn't mean that we're using the wall for support, it's just for balance. So we're going to come up here and we want to have a really slow, controlled descent as we do our calf raise. So I have it at a pretty aggressive angle here. And this is gonna be the really important part of the rep, so that descent. So I can come up explosively and then really slow and controlled come down for a count of 3 to 5. And I'm going to repeat. And I'm having the pressure in my whole foot, but specifically I want to make sure that my big toe is being loaded here, because a lot of times people will kind of shift to the outside of their ankle, and that's obviously in that rolled position. So we want to be able to make sure that our calf knows how to go up and down and not roll out every time we go into plantar flexion. Another important concept I would like to introduce here, especially for you athletes, is a continuous tension set. So not only doing a calf raise in a linear position, but doing it at different angles as well. And that would look like this. So not only this, but then coming out to the side and toeing in, going to the inside. And the way we can program this in our sets is pretty much the same way. So we want to do things that are simple but effective. So we don't want to have to set up all these things. Simply all we would do is fatigue the neutral line, and then for the last few reps of your set, you can fatigue the inner line and then the outer line. So you'd be surprised that you have a couple more reps after you actually go to failure on your neutral line. You have a couple more reps in either direction. And why is that? It's because we're getting to the fibers that weren't specifically trained as hard as the middle line fibers, if that makes sense. So if we're just bodybuilding and just trying to get stronger in one position, then it is perfectly fine to just go up and down with your calf raises. That'll be the end of the story, and you'll get hypertrophy, you'll get the gains, etc. But as an athlete, I advise you guys to look a little bit more globally and look into how you can get every single fiber of your being to be resilient, be powerful, and be explosive, because we are not moving in one line, we are moving in many directions, and it is useful to use things like continuous tension sets in a lot of our strength movements in the gym so that we can support our athletic endeavors. So with this continuous tension set, for example, we can do a neutral stance with the calf raise, so that'll call N, and then we could do a toed in approach. So we'll say in and a toed out approach. And these are gonna load slightly different parts of your calf. Of course, you're gonna load your whole calf with a straight one, right? But this is for those who are trying to get the best out of their training. So with the neutral, you might just be, let's say we're loading it evenly, right? But we tend to have inner calf pain, or we tend to roll our ankle one way or another. There's various reasons. That's not the point of this video. It's just the point of this video is to introduce this concept and to give you the exercise that I think will really help move the needle for you guys moving forward. So with the toe in approach, we're going to be loading more of the outer calf, and with the toed out approach, we're going to be loading more of that inner calf. So I just want to explain this concept very briefly so you guys can see how these continuous tension sets would benefit you. Exercise number 2 is going to be the raised Bulgarian split squat. So you might have heard of the Bulgarian split squat, but just to go over it briefly for those who haven't, you're going to get your back foot on maybe a stack of plates or something about 6 inches tall. Typically benches are too tall for this, so you want something a little bit lower like this. And you're gonna have your foot flat on and directly under you. Most of your weight, 90% of your weight is gonna be through that front leg, and then only about 10% of that weight is in that back leg. That's just for stability and balance. And so we really wanna go into a squat / lunge position with that front leg. So we're really leaning forward, trying to load that quad. In order to progress this to the raised Bulgarian split squat and get the benefits of loading our calf, specifically our soleus. So when we do straight leg calf raises, for example, we're going to be loading more of the gastrocnemius, those two muscles that we know of as the calf that we can see. Deep to that is the soleus. And that is often neglected in training, but as you know, as an athlete, we're using our calf in many directions, many positions, many situations. So in a lot of those times, it's going to be in that bent leg position. So if I'm going to take off for a trick, for example, I'm going to be in that bent leg position, and that's where I'm going to push off from. So we want to train that range as well. So the raised Bulgarian split squat, I love it for that because it's going to isometrically train that soleus and really load the Achilles tendon as well. So we're going to get into that same setup we were just in. Our weight's nice and centered on that front leg, and you're gonna raise into a calf raise. And then you're gonna keep that position at the ankle as you go down. So we're isometrically loading that. For more of you advanced guys, you could use loading in one arm or two arms. So you can just use that for weight. And then if you need more, there's nothing wrong with grabbing a second one. You could even do this barbell as well. All options are great depending on your level, as long as you can control it and you can find that stability. And that's a really good benefit of this as well, because we have to stabilize so much harder because our heel is not grounded. So this is probably one of our best ankle stability exercises for athletes. Exercise number 3 is going to be multi-directional hopping. We can't get enough of hopping to improve ankle strength and stability for athletes because it is essentially what we're doing all the time, especially with tricking. If you look at it, it's going to be a series of hops. There's not this big jump event unless you're doing standing skills. Most skills are actually generated from this range. So it's a lot of rebounding, ankle stiffness, tendon loading is what is going to get us into the next skill. And that goes with sprinting, that goes with most athletic sports, right? So in order to really improve your athleticism, hopping is essential. And another benefit of hopping is that you can't hide. So you can't really compensate very well with hopping. And what I mean by that is that since it's single leg, I mean, it's all reliant on that leg versus when you're doing the sport or activity, maybe you just get off that leg as fast as possible and go on to the next one. In this exercise, we're going to be really forcing ourselves to train through our compensations and weaknesses, and that's why I love it. And there's so many different ways and flavors of hopping, but we're just calling this multi-directional hopping, and it's going to depend on your level, right? So maybe you start with just stationary hopping. Maybe you just start with going up and down and trying not to give as much and trying to actually flick off the ankle, right? So we're focusing on ankle strength and explosiveness. So instead of making it a jump, which don't worry, it's plenty hard as well, we want to use the floor as hot lava, and we're just springing off using that ankle stiffness to get off the ground. Then we can go to side hopping. So if you take a line, I actually have these right here. I love visuals because then it gives us a goal and it helps you know when you're making an error. So we want to be skilled and accurate with this kind of movement. Now we're getting into more of agility type training. So now we're going from one side of the line to the other, and try to keep your eyes ahead, help train your proprioception or your joint position sense in your ankle. Instead of looking down, you're not going to be doing this when you're playing your sport or activity. Next, and lastly, for this video, we can do multi-directional hopping. So now, instead of just side to side or up and down, or by the way, back and forth, now we can do different patterns, and I'll let you play with that at home. So you can go in the clock, and as you see, I'm looking down now because it's getting a little bit more challenging, but try to stay honest with it. And then you can do different patterns like crossing, etc. Today we went over 3 different exercises to improve your ankle strength for athletics. That first one was the straight leg calf raise, eccentric, at the different angles, and that was to help train your calf strength in a 3-dimensional way. The second one was the raised Bulgarian split squat, which was very helpful for building tons of ankle stability and tendon health as well. And then the last one was the multi-directional hopping. That was very important for developing explosive power and agility. And of course, there's more, guys. So if you want to check that out and you're struggling with any ankle issues, then head over to TrickStrong.com. As a doctor of physical therapy and movement artist myself, I have gathered tons of resources for you guys between programs, talks, and more to guide you from rehab to peak performance. So whether you're trying to build strength, recover from injury, or master new skills, we've got you covered. Lastly, if you really enjoyed this video, definitely hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're alerted when we have new videos. Stay strong, train safe, and see you soon for the next one.